Hi guys, we're going to start off today with a bit more active, a bit more free movement throughout some of these mobility movements. So sort of testing our active range of motion in some of these things. So a little bit different to start off with. So first of all, we'll just check in and just have a bit of movement starting at the top of the head. We can rotate through the neck, through the shoulders, see how our spine's doing, have a little bit of a flow back and forth. And then we're going to start off, first of all, with a bit of bridge. So this is an active bridge. So we lie down on the floor, feet flat in front. And then we're going to lift those hips up towards the ceiling, pressing as hard as we can, getting those hips nice and high. And then we're going to just play around with our hands above our head. We can reach out to various different points. You can even roll onto one shoulder. Just see if there's any points there that feel particularly good in that stretch. And then we're just going to march the feet, stay nice and active, driving that leg into the ground, trying to get those hips up nice and high. Have a little bit of a march there. And then resting back down. You might want to tuck the knees into the chest as a bit of a counter to that stretch. And you can roll yourself back up. We're then going to go through a bit of deer, feeling into these hips. But with this, we'll start off just rotating back and forth. So we've got one hip internally rotated, the other externally. Just feeling into that. If you feel anywhere particularly catching that you'd like to lean into, again, this is a bit more free moving, so you can lean yourself forward or backwards. See where your body would like to go with this movement. Leaning back is going to feel more of a stretch in that internally rotated hip. Leaning forward over should stretch the externally rotated hip. Just have a little feel there, and once we've done that, felt into it a bit, we're going to challenge ourselves a little bit here. So try not to put our hands on the ground. We're going to try and take this internally rotated leg, lift it off the ground and scoop it round to swap legs. So lifting this back leg is quite a challenge anyway. Lifting it and straightening it even more so. So try and do this nice and slow. See if we can stretch that leg out and bring it around. This is one of those movements you might feel a bit of cramp in sort of your hip or your bum there. Try and keep your foot just off the floor. Scoop it around. And just have a little play around with that. Do a few reps on each side. See how you get on. And just trying to move generally without touching the ground. Moving nice and slowly, giving us a bit of body awareness, proprioception here as well. And feeling into those hips. Once we've done that, we'll come up into a bit of tabletop. So again, we're going to be on our wrists quite a bit. So if you just start off just rotating those wrists in this sort of motion for a few rotations one way, about 10 one way, 10 another. And then we're going to stretch the wrists out here. So just leaning forward over these wrists. So So stretching, notice my shoulders coming in front of the wrist there. Obviously, if this is painful, back off, but do try and stretch a little bit, maybe a little bit further than you might like to. This is really good for obviously all of our handstand stuff, these FLR holds we've been doing, press ups, all sorts. And then we're going to stretch them the other way, so placing the back of the hands on the floor and then leaning our weight back so that our shoulders come behind our wrists again. And while we're here, why not tuck under the toes, and as we shift our weight back, we're getting a bit of a toe stretch as well. All right, and slowly come out of that, shake that out. Then we're going to try out a bit of, I suppose, what's it called? Primal animal movements. This one's really good for core. So we're going to tuck our toes under again. Notice my wrists are under my shoulders, my knees are under my hips. From here, I'm going to have to engage my core, slightly protract the shoulders, and I'm just going to lift the knees about an inch off the floor. And you can just have a little practice of that to begin with. You should really feel this in your core, in your hips, in your thighs, to just hold yourself hovering off the floor here. Really drive in through the shoulders so you're pressing in nice and strong through the hands as well. Next, we're going to come up into that position again. So we're raising those knees off the floor. And this time we're going to do a variation of child's pose. So keeping those knees hovering, we're going to send our bum back, send our hands out in front, and press down into the ground. Nice and active. Then from here, we're going to push up into a sort of down dog. And then we're going to try and wave our spine forwards. So, coming through vertebrae by vertebrae, coming up over the hands, sending the hips down and the head up so that we're in a nice back bend here. Then we're going to push back. We want to wave back, so we're going to tuck our head, start pressing up, belly button up towards the ceiling, bum back into that down dog. And we're going to wave forwards again, shifting that weight over into the knuckles, looking up, and then pushing back into that down dog. Super active. And then bring those knees back down into child's pose. And we'll relax here for a little bit. That was quite active. And finally, we'll finish off with a bit of squat, but a bit of stretching there as well. So get into a deep squat if you can. If you need to hold on to something to keep yourself here, work on that. See how low you can get into this squat. I'd recommend doing that as much as you can, to be honest. Really work on getting that full squat. And from here, we're going to stretch our backs, and I'll just shuffle myself back. So we're going to, hands facing each other out in front, and we're essentially going to press through the front. We're going to look down at the floor, feel that stretch through the shoulders and through the back, reaching forwards in this position. And then we're going to bring our hands down. If you need to tuck a hand underneath a foot, you can do. And we're just going to twist up towards the ceiling with our right hand. Bring that hand down and twist up with our left. Getting a bit of a spinal twist in here as well. And right hand again. And left. And then from here, if we stand up, nice and active, And that'll do you, team.